Welcome to Quick 3D Tutorials Masterclass about lighting inside Arnold 5.1. But of course we can use any render engine like Redshift, V-Ray, Mentary and so on. So here I have a simple scene. As you can see, we have a room. I cannot see through it. I can use the back faces to be off so it is easier to see through. And here we have a camera which is here. And for the geometry, I have just applied a normal AI standard surface shader. We just put the specular to be off. Before we get to it, there are something I will show you this. Of course, we need to go to render setting first, choosing our render engine to be Arnold. Make sure you have the default setting so you can just turn it on. And we will talking about the rail depth. Here is some of GI is going to be, and some of a specular and some of glass object if we have on the scene, so we can turn these on and off. And but in this case we're going to turn it off because we don't want any GI. But let's see if you want to have the glass object in the scene, so we can just put this and put the other to be 0. That is another way to reduce the render time. So in this video we want to try to lighting the scene. We're going to use using some of method to get the same result like global illumination we have turned it on. Without this, because we're going to get faster render and we have a lot of control about the light in our scene. So first of all, we want to show you how we can put a background image or color behind the windows. It can be a plane, it can be a sphere and so on. But before we go to it, we want to show you some other things about the lighting. Before you get to lighting, there are very important things we need to know. So for now, I just stored one of the light for the test. So we're going just to render. But before we're going to the render, it's a good idea to make the size to be a little bit smaller, so it's going to render faster. So here we want to just for now we just turn the GI to be on, and you can find it here. So we just putting it to the default once again. So now we just rendering it. Sometimes it is hard to see if the light is going actually lighting the room, but we cannot see it. So that is a good idea to use the gamma to be 2.2. So as you can see now, we can see a lot of things is happening. Only it's one light source, but it gives us a lot of information. So that is a good idea to do this. You can doing it here, but mostly we should doing it on the camera. So we can go to the camera setting inside the Arnold section, go to the exposure. So from here we can adding it for each camera we have. So but for now we just turn the GI off, or before we turn it off, I want to also show you other things. The other thing is I want to show you is basically every single light you have in your scene, you can turn the GI to be on and off, which is the light bouncing. So I don't want this light to be bouncing. So I can just grab the light I have, go to the Arnold setting, and just go to the section of the max bounce and putting it to the 0. When I do this, excuse me, and render it once again, so you can see the light is not going to bounce. And we can basically do this for every single things we have. Let's see, this light should not affect diffuse, a specular, a skin shader, and so on. But for now, we're just putting it to the default. And now we just put this to be off. So now we are ready to get started by the first section. So the first things we're going to do is putting a color here, but it can be image plane, it can be an image background or whatever. And the shape of this, it could be a sphere, it could be a cylinder, a plane, and so on. But in this case, we have just a plane. So right click on it, go to the assign new shader, go to the rich Arnold, and go to AI standard surface shader. Put the base off and the specular off, and go to the emission and putting it to be 1. Why we should put the background here, or the color? That is because we don't want the light affecting our background. So background need to be the same, not brighter, not darker. So by this way, we have a lot of control. So in this case, I'm going to choose maybe kind of bluish color. That is the first thing. The second thing we need to remember, when we have a light, for the sun, I want to use this, but when we have a light going to, this one is going to block the light. So we should select our geometry here, go to the render state, not casting and not receiving shadow, because we don't need it. So any light came from outside can came through. Some people are going to make a sky dome light, which is also good, and for the places is windows or holes or something like this, is good to use the light port. But I recommend the sky dome light is going to be used for more outside things and not inside, because it's not give us the light we want. So basically an area light is enough instead of the sky dome light. So now we have this. Now we want to the renders to our render view and just render it. So as you can see, now we have getting our background. So maybe in this case I want it to be a little bit more bluish. Okay, so that is the first step of it. In the next step we're talking about the key light. Thanks for watching.